All right, guys, we got Coach here. I'll let him go ahead and get started.
Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Just a couple comments on last week's games. Obviously, it was a big win for our program and much needed. You know, that rivalry is one of the great rivalries in college football, and as it turned out, it was great to be on the winning end. I do want to salute our super seniors, guys who've been here 6 years. They're 5-1 in that series, so that's pretty remarkable. I thought it was an electric atmosphere. I want to say kudos to the students, anyhow, and our fans. It was a great day and really a great victory for us. So, you know, we certainly have a great deal of respect for Colorado State. Coach Adazio is doing a good job. I know they wanted to win just as bad as we did, and we're happy and fortunate we won the game. Moving on from the game, turning the page to Boise State. Boy, Andy Avalos has done a great job. He's got a steady hand. Andy was a former player at Boise, team captain and a defensive coordinator, and you know, navigating them through their injuries and the choppy water and things like that. Two really big, huge wins. They beat BYU in Provo. I think they were rated in the top 25 at that time, and then a convincing win against Fresno State, who was also in the top 25. And I mean, beat them in all three phases of the game. And so they're an excellent football team. We play Friday night in Boise. Our players are excited about it. It's a little bit of a short week, but it certainly helps coming off a good win. As far as addressing Boise, boy, what an explosive offense. And you need to start with their quarterback, Bachmeyer. It seems like he's been there forever. But he's a guy that's got great mobility. Their coordinator's doing an excellent job with him as far as their progressions. He can make all the throws. He can throw deep. He's got a great touch, back shoulder fades. He can hit the mini field. And he's just an excellent, excellent quarterback. They do have the running game going back now. And it's been great to see them, make progress. But George Halani had a great game against Fresno. And then Shakir is a guy, number 2, that they have utilized all kinds of different ways. They get him the ball and they target him. And he's an explosive receiver, somebody who's really, really difficult to contain. Over on the defensive side of the football, what's really impressive to me, 21 takeaways in this short of a season. Really an explosive defense, starting with number 55, defensive end Irwin, who's really explosive coming off the edge. Excuse me, they got a couple twins in the back end. Kahoni, I believe is how you say both their twins' names, but they're excellent players. And then number 0, Skinner, is a 6'4", rangy guy. And so really explosive, disruptive on defense, solid in the kicking game. Their team's playing at a really high level. I think we showed what type of team we could be this last Saturday, but we'll need to make improvements on that this next week. So at this time, I'll open up to questions.
Josh, go ahead.
I think I asked you a little bit about it after the game, but, with Levi and Isaiah as a coach, how exciting is it to see 2 guys that still have several more years of eligibility showing that kind of chemistry with each other?
Well, it is encouraging. I thought Levi played well. He certainly took care of the ball better. Isaiah Nair is really a gifted player. He's tall and rangy. As I said, he's got a great catch radius, and he's got strong hands and good leaping ability. So that combination is really, really helpful, and it's going to be important that we build on that in the future.
Ryan, go ahead.
Craig, obviously Andy was at Boise State with previous coaches there, but those guys were offensive guys. He's a defensive guy. Is the program pretty much the same with Andy, or are there changes to it that you've noticed?
Well, Andy's talked a great deal about reestablishing the foundation. Of course, he was there during the great run, when they won the Fiesta Bowls and things of that nature. There's different nuances. Obviously, a new play caller. I believe Brian called the plays before somebody else, and so you see different elements within their offense. But what you do see is an offense that's really balanced, that can attack you in the running game. They can make all the throws vertically, and they have a RPO game as well. And so, from that standpoint, they're similar. I know that they had some challenges. They lost some games, some close games early. But I thought Andy did a great job. That's really one of the premier programs in the country, and they couldn't have chosen a better guy to lead that program.
Cody, go ahead.
Greg, I know some losses are tougher than other ones, but last time you guys were in Boise, a number of your players said that was one of the toughest games they'd ever played in the toughest outcome ever. What do you remember about that game, and how tough was that for you to get over?
We had some adversity going into the game. We did not have our starting quarterback. Sean got hurt. Tyler came in. I thought our players competed extremely hard. We had a couple of our defensive guys that we were short up front. The guys hung in there. We took them into overtime. I remember us lining up, and we have an excellent field goal kicker at that time, Cooper Roth, and he missed a long field goal, and they got theirs, and we lost the game. I think our players have recognized that it's a tough atmosphere to play in, but there's a sense of confidence that if we do things right, we're going to have a great chance to win.
Josh, go ahead.
Just following up from that, do you have any update on the health of Alex Brown? And then sticking with the receiver position, what kind of impact have you seen Aiden Eberhardt make just from the sidelines, from an emotional or coaching?
Well, I'll take it from the back end first. Aiden's done a great job. He's been around our players. He's been encouraging. He means the world to our program. And concerning Alex, I don't think he'll practice today. I think it might be between questionable and doubtful whether he'll play in the game, but we're in hopes that he will. I've not gotten, a final, I guess, diagnosis of what it's a knee injury to the to the extent whether it's just a slight sprain or a tear. We'll have to find out.
Ryan, go ahead.
Craig, you mentioned Boise State has 2 nice top 25 wins. Both those were on the road, and they're actually 1-3 on the blue turf. Is that just account for a strange season, or what do you make of that?
Yeah, it's been a different year. Typically, Boise, it's always almost been the reverse. They've defended their home turf. I know it's really important for them. They have a great tradition on playing on the blue. Really active fan base. We need to play them in between the lines, and that's our plans. But yeah, those numbers are not reflective of how they normally have been. I'm sure Andy's going to make sure that gets addressed this week.
Cody, go ahead.
Craig, and looking at Boise's numbers, their rushing offense is not what we're used to, and stopping the run is not what we're used to out of those guys. What do you make of them on the line of scrimmage on both sides? And also what Josh was asking about Alex Brown, do you have any update on Eric Aboje or Solomon Byrd?
Okay, I'll go through the injuries first. I think Solomon Bird's done for the year. Eric Aboje, we're hopeful for him to be able to play this week. Getting back to their numbers, I don't quite know what to make of those numbers because when I watch the tape, excuse me here, I'm still coughing from the game. When I watch the tape, I certainly don't see that. I know the numbers are what they are, but I think maybe the addition of some of these players they have coming back, starting to look like the Boise type of team that I know.
Josh, go ahead.
Coming off of last week, really domination performance, and even carry from the second half the week before. What's the biggest thing that's impressed you in that aspect over these past 6 quarters or so?
You kind of cut out there, Josh. Over the last 6 quarters,
with the rushing attack, just
okay.
what's the thing that's impressed you the most about that side?
I think our offensive linemen and fullbacks and tight end have done a good job, not only initially blocking the right guy, but maintaining their blocks and finishing off those blocks. I think that's been a big improvement. And then I think our running backs are running extremely hard, whether it be Titus or X and excuse me, DeWine. We've got kind of a stable of group of guys. Well, what's going to be important for us, obviously, we'd like to be a run-first football team. We need to be able to throw the ball explosively, but when we do call up a running play, we need to get productivity out of it. In the last several weeks, we have.
Ryan, go ahead.
Craig, I imagine with this game being 6 days apart from the border where you didn't get to celebrate as long as you normally do, just what are the schedule adjustments for you guys and the challenges of not only a short week, but having to be the road team?
Yeah, it certainly presents some challenges. We were, we knew this was coming. What you do, you kind of typically Sunday is the day off we give our players. We feel like the NCAA requires us to give a day off, but we do that sometimes because it's the day after a game or an opportunity for guys to go to church. This Sunday was not that case. We normally talk about a 24-hour rule to celebrate or commiserate. That got shortened. Coaches are running a lot of caffeine right now. It's a big ball game. We'll do kind of a hybrid practice schedule of what we normally have done. I think it's imperative, though, we get our hard work in. If we're going to play a physical game, we need to play and practice that way. So a little bit of an abbreviated schedule, but not significantly. The fact that we're traveling on Thursday does make it a little bit more of a challenge, but that's a challenge. That's the schedule we were given. Everybody has some challenges, and so that's where we're at.
Cody, go ahead.
I know a lot of guys had their hands in trying to limit Trey McBride on Saturday, but what can you say about Keontae Glinton and he finally gets that elusive turnover you guys have been looking for? Trey is so much bigger than
that was a long dry spell. I think I mentioned that right after the game. We thought Keontae played extremely well. He came into the week. Keon Blankenbaker had a little bit of a nicked up ankle, And Keontae came in and practiced really well, and he played really well. And as a result of that, we're really pleased. We've always felt like he had ability, but in that stage, we talked about meeting the moment. He had prepared to meet the moment, and when that moment came, he answered the bell for the Cowboys.
We got any more questions, guys?
Okay, big week, guys. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Craig.
You bet.
All right, guys, we got Victor Jones here. Go ahead and start us off. Go ahead.
Hey, Victor, I'm just wondering, what you've seen out of Boise State. They don't seem like their typical dominant self in a lot of ways. Obviously, they're 5-4 overall, but they've lost 3 games at home. What is your take on them, and what are you seeing out of Boise so far, the little that you've looked at?
I mean, whenever you go ahead to play Boise, they're still Boise, and they're still a solid powerhouse in our conference. So definitely, I'm gonna go in the game, like I do every single week, not taking anyone lightly. It's not really about the opponent. Sometimes it's about how you play. So kind of going in there the same way we go against anyone.
Victor, I think you won the race to grab the boot off the sideline. What did that victory mean to you guys? Not just because it's the rivalry, but you guys really needed a win after those 4 losses. And how much momentum does that give you this week?
I mean, that big rivalry game, that one always means a lot. And last year, after losing that one and just seeing how they rushed our sideline, and it's just like there's these images that's just been in my head for the past year, and I was just very, very excited to bring the boot back home to Laramie, and it just felt great to go do that.
Victor, Coach Bull mentioned that you guys are probably going to be without Solomon for the rest of the year. For you guys on the D line, how big of a loss is that? But also, especially coming off of last week, how much confidence, do you have in the rest of those guys being able to step up and kill?
I mean, with Solomon not being able to complete the year, that's a little piece of our D line that's missing. But I mean, I definitely have faith in everyone in our entire defensive line rooms, from our defensive end to our defensive tackles. We'll be able to step up and fill up the shoes pretty nicely, I believe.
Victor, how tough was that last trip to Boise State? And what do you remember most about that? A lot of guys told me after the game that was one of the toughest losses they've ever had in their college careers.
Last year?
2019 in Boise.
2019, I actually didn't play that game because I had tore my labrum against Nevada, and then I was out for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then I ended up finishing the season, but I actually didn't play that game. So I actually never even played in Boise before. So this is going to be my first time ever playing in Boise, and it's exciting. Definitely planning on going to have a good game.
On the flip side, since you didn't play, and sorry I didn't do my homework better on that, Vic, what did you see anything different out of your guys? They were really deflated after that one. A lot of tears in the locker room. That was a huge loss for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, that was a game that we all definitely. Cause I was at home watching, and I was watching. I'm like, this is a game like we could grab and we gonna get, and then I just know the emotions were crazy high after not knocking down that field goal or whatever, and yeah, that was a tough loss for sure.
After facing a couple of pretty good dual threat quarterbacks that could really run the last couple of weeks, obviously Hank Bachmeier, you know very well, he's a pocket guy, can really sling it. Just what are the challenges of transitioning to that kind of offense? And do you think the job you guys did against Fresno State can really help you out?
I mean, a quarterback that doesn't run as much is always, I wouldn't say necessarily easier, but it's just an aspect that like you don't have to consider. So, I mean, like I said, it's kind of more about what we do, not necessarily about the opponent. As long as we go in there, stay the game plan, keep them caged, secondary do what they do, it's going to be a good game.
We got any more questions for Vic? All right, thanks, Vic.
All right, thank you guys.
Thanks, Vic.
All right, guys, we got Josh Cobbs here. Ryan, go ahead and start us off.
Josh, Boise State's defense is known for taking the ball away. Obviously, Levi took care of the ball last week. I mean, it's fairly obvious, but do you guys feel like if you can play a clean game, that's going to be the key to winning or losing this Friday?
Yes, sir. Most definitely coming out and just, executing the game plan and trying to minimize the mistakes as much as possible. Definitely be the answer.
How much weight do you put
Josh.
on your shoulders, Joshua, with Aiden Eberhardt no longer in the lineup and Alex Brown possibly missing this week?
I mean, like I said, this is gonna take us during the week kind of speaking to some of the younger guys that are gonna come in and play a key role this week, and just trying to help them, understand that it's gonna be important for them to, like I said, play their role this week with a lot of those guys out. So I think not only me in particular as far as what the game my game comes down to, but just what I can do for the younger guys.
Going off of that, obviously a big loss losing Aiden for the year, but could you describe just the impact he's made off the field and just kind of help lifting you guys over the past week and a half?
Aiden's a big part of Wyoming football. He's very respectable. It's easy to respect him. He makes it very easy because the way he just comes out and works, and you can tell he has a sincere love for the team and the game of football. So I mean, like I said, it's definitely a tough thing when somebody gets hurt and is out for the season, especially somebody in his situation. But he's at all the meetings. He comes to all of the position meetings, to practices, and just make sure he can do what he can. So.
Josh, with the season that Isaiah's having, obviously in the passing game, defenses are going to really focus on him. Do you feel like as you get more of a rapport with Levi, that could be an opportunity for you maybe to do some things with all the attention on Isaiah?
Yeah, most definitely. It's going to open up for a lot of guys. I mean, Isaiah's a really good player, so he attracts a lot of double teams and bracketing in his direction. So it just makes sense for a lot of the other guys to step up. So I definitely think it's going to be an opportunity for the rest of us.
Levi had a really productive, performance for you guys out there last week. For you, from last year to now, how much have you seen him grow as a quarterback?
I mean, with Coach Polisek coming in this year, he's definitely made it a thing for the quarterbacks to just, kind of play that quarterback role and just kind of be leaders, and so Levi has definitely stepped into that role and he's embraced it. So, I mean, just the maturity over from last year to this year, and understanding that he has to play that role of, somewhat of what they call the CEO of the offense, and he's been doing a great job of improving in that area.
You got any more questions for Josh? All right, thanks, Josh.
Thank you.
All right, guys, I'll call you. You guys are set for 2 today still with Coach Linder? Excellent. All right, we'll call you guys.
Thank you.